and I am very pleased to welcome Asha Saxena onto the stage.
You have to shake my hand and give me a hug. Thank you. Thank you. I have to say that when Marisol and Tara reached out to me, I was beyond honored, and I was thrilled to say yes to this opportunity to speak to all of you. This cause for women, advancing women, I think is not just a cause for me or Marisol or for Cassandra. I think it's our cause. And I love that when we say it's not just a women's organization, our male allies who are here supporting the cause, because it's not just me alone or you alone who can do it. It's really important that we come together with women leaders, male allies, and corporations saying yes to the cause to make sure we are moving forward to make a better world by being inclusive and making sure that we have the right diversity in every room we walk in. As Marisol said, I've spent 30 years in data analytics and AI. I think the buzzword of artificial intelligence is so common and everybody's been talking about it. But in 30 years, being an engineer, being a tech entrepreneur, being a professor, I got a chance to not only see the early days of the revolution in technology. Technology has been changing very fast from ever since. If you all remember in 80s and 90s, the whole desktop revolution, client-server technologies, we moved away from mainframe to client-server technologies. And then came the World Wide Web. We call it Web 1.0, where we had websites, which was just one-directional. It was all about decentralized web. And then we moved to Web 2.0. Google, Facebook consolidated the data, and we entered into the centralized world. And now we are in Web 3.0. So the technology has been changing very fast, and we've been taking advantage of technology as a benefit to the mankind. Technology has helped us become more efficient, serve our clients better, make sure that our lives are better, and we can perform our jobs better. But when you think about November 30th, 2022, last year, November 30th was the date when OpenAI launched ChatGPT. I think our world changed. And I have to say that being an engineer and being a technologist in this world, I don't think I was in demand as much ever before. Everybody was knocking on my door. Every social event I went to, people were talking about AI. And I think you would explain what artificial intelligence is prior to that, but now even the kids in school, in middle school, in high school, kids were playing with ChatGPT and having a conversation with ChatGPT, and suddenly the students, the teachers in school were getting worried about how do we navigate this use of AI in schools. So everybody was talking about AI, but AI is not new. Artificial intelligence really is when machines can start solving a problem like humans solve a problem. Machines are predicting. And we live in the artificial narrow intelligence. So when you think about artificial intelligence, there are three types. Artificial narrow intelligence, where machines are learning from the data we put in. And then comes the artificial general intelligence, when the machines start becoming intelligent from the data that's fed to them. And then comes the artificial superintelligence, when the machine starts having emotions. And that's what the whole conversation when Elon Musk, you heard about those petition, pause AI for 6 months. And it was about the worry that will AI do harm? And there's a lot of questions about would AI is going to do harm or good? And I always say there is always a fear of science, right? You say biological, chemical, you're thinking about nuclear weapons, right? I love the movie Oppenheimer because it makes you really think about the dilemma, the ethical dilemma of science can do for you. And so I always say that artificial intelligence, of course, like any science, can do good and can do bad. But I think the pandemic really was a great time for me to reflect on my 30 years career in data and AI. And during that time, this book which I wrote, which came out in February of this year, The AI Factor, really came to birth. And my whole journey from 2019, the 2 years when I spent time writing the book, was how can businesses truly use AI? Because there was faster than ever, digital transformation was happening. We were now moving from our workplaces into the homes, having flexible work environments. And so the question was that how do we integrate? Now, we were creating a lot more data than ever before. So we now have these models which were getting really powerful because the models are all about data they take. It's input and output. So now my worry was that these models are going to get stronger for the data we are inputting. So when Cassandra said that let's make this world a better place by having women leaders sitting on the at the table, it is so important now than ever before. And when I think about the power of AI, the power of these models are going to really take all the biases that are there in the world and enhance it, multiply it exponentially. So what's going to happen is that if you have the data set, so I'll give you a really interesting example. You know, in Long Island, they had this algorithm. The police was using this algorithm to identify where there's going to be a theft. So they zeroed down onto this specific area where they said there's going to be more crime. So what they're doing is historically they're looking at the data set and they're narrowing on that data set where there's going to be crime. So they're not looking at the other areas where there generally is not crime. So they're now focusing on, and they're bringing these people back into the jail, into the prisons. So what happens is that the models are going to really focus on the negative and the biases that has already been fed in. I was at UN Women a couple of weeks back, and at the event when General Assembly was in session in October, and they showed this example where when you Google search and you say housekeepers, most of the images will be women images. And when you do executive leadership, executive leaders, it'll be all men, and only 3% of women were showing up. Whereas real data says there are 30% of women. So what algorithms are doing, they're exponentially highlighting the biases that exist already. What does that do? It causes unfair world. Now, remember, we all are using algorithms already. Netflix, when it's recommending, it has a recommendation engine. When Netflix came into power, when it was founded, Blockbuster was a big company. And Netflix came in and they said, we're going to change the way Blockbuster, or how you consume media. Netflix came in at the time when they said, we are going to mail you this red envelope, DVD, but what they did, they started tracking what you were watching. So what they did, they understood the consumer behavior, so they don't have to worry about the inventory. The supply and demand, they understood what the supply and demand is going to be. And Netflix moved from being a mail-in DVD to all streaming media to creating original content. And when they created the original content, the series they were launching, they already knew it's going to be a big hit because they had an algorithm that worked really well to understand what the consumer wanted. So there's a powerful story here of how businesses, when businesses are using data effectively, when they're using the models effectively, and they understand their consumer effectively, they can create growth in the business. But what happens to being responsible and ethically responsible for the models you use? In 2016, if you remember the election time, there was a lot of hate conversation talking about Mexican wall. During that time in November 2016, Microsoft launched a chatbot, and it was a conversational AI, if you remember. And It was a teenager girl, 19-year-old teenage girl, chatbot, who would hear the conversation on Twitter and have a conversation back with you. She became super bitter because she was hearing all the negative news that was going on. She exponentially enhanced that negativity, and they had to turn that down within 48 hours. They brought it down. They said, it's not a success. There are example after example on the biases can cause bad business. I love what you said. It's good business to include women leaders. It's good business to focus on making sure your data is not biased. And the data is created in the real world. They say generative AI came out in 2023. 2023 was the year when generative AI became powerful. But think about it. Each one of us is either a consumer of AI or a creator of AI. At some level, we all are engaging with AI. Are we being responsible? Each one of us is writing history. The way you interact with the data, the way you're providing your data and consuming the data, each one of us is creating history. How do we choose to create history? Responsible and ethical AI becomes really critical. These causes, as women in financial markets, become really critical. And your participation tonight becomes really critical because this is where you as financial leaders will take and build the world. In financial markets, all of you know that financial markets invest heavily in technology and infrastructure, and all of you use data a lot. But the question is, are you moving fast enough? Are you going to be friends with AI? Are you going to fear AI? Are you going to jump right in and say, we're going to engage with the technology, we want to use the AI to benefit us? I was at AI Summit in London, and I love going to these summits because I get to play with the technology. And one of the technology organizations had this demo. You could actually drag a chatbot in the middle of your screen, give it a name and call it Amy, or whatever name you want to give, and you can have Amy as your HR recruiter. You can drag the skills for the HR recruiter and say, I want this job, I want this person, I want to fill this role, write the job description, go find me the candidates, schedule interviews. And Amy will go and do that work for you. So you can actually hire digital humans now. You don't have to worry about hiring real human because you're going to have digital human available to come work for you. Remember, these digital human will work while you're sleeping. They don't have mood swings. They don't have to go on vacation. And they don't have to worry about the culture, the company culture. They will do what you tell them to do because you assigned a skill for them. So think about it. Your coworkers in the future are going to be these digital humans. You will be working side by side with these digital humans. They talk about, do I have to worry about losing my job? I was on another panel with attorneys, and somebody said, do you worry about how it's going to come into the law firm? And he said, I'm really happy because all the paralegal, all the work, which is a manual work, will be assigned to these chatbots or these digital humans, and we can focus on really doing the good work. So when people say to me, are we going to lose jobs? And I say, you know what, these jobs will be, we lose these jobs, but the jobs we'll take are the people who know how to work with AI. People who know how to navigate and use AI in their day-to-day life. More than ever, this is going to become critical for us to be ready to evolve. We say leaders are lifelong learners, and I would say that this is the time that you invest in becoming friends with AI. Learn to invest in how you can engage with AI. When you talk about some of the use cases, and I'll say the use case around personalization, we are entering into the hyper-personalization world, where you can actually understand what your life journey is. If you're looking for lending or credit, or understand risk capacity for your consumer, you can understand, this consumer is in school, and they use the credit card. From here, they get married. This is the credit needs. From there, they're going to buy a house. What would be their credit needs? So you can actually personalize the solution to your consumers as a portfolio manager or credit or lending opportunities. The hyper-personalization will be the way to go. Digital humans will be another way to go. Servicing and also sales will become really best use cases for AI. If you're not putting your hands in AI today, you'll need to invest immediately in learning how to invest in AI and learn and become a savvy user of artificial intelligence. Everything we do in artificial intelligence is based on the data. So it becomes really critical that you look at the diversity of the data set. Another example, I had one of the women leaders in data and AI, which is the organization I run, and she gave me an example of drug discovery. One of the large pharmaceutical company, and they were looking for the cardiac drug evolution. And they were looking at the data set, and they didn't have enough women data. So a lot of times you would not have the complete data set of female gender. She refused to continue with that project. She said, you know what, unless I get fair amount of data set for the female gender and I have the right data set to do my research, I'm not going to proceed. So she went out, got the permission, went out, got the data set to actually launch her research. The results were astonishing because it completely changed what the outcome was. And that research was published on the company's website. So I think we need to take that step. We need to take that step to make sure that we stand up and talk about what kind of data we are consuming, talk about what kind of use cases we have in the market, and can we go back to our work and figure out how we're going to engage with AI, even if it's a simple step, even if we start working with the chatbot, and look at the use cases that's available. I want to thank everybody again for this opportunity to talk and really invest in hearing about artificial intelligence. In the book, I talk about the 4-step process of how to engage with AI and implement AI. But it really truly starts from the leadership and starts from each one of you. This is an important cause, not just for women in finance, but this is an important cause for what you're leaving behind as your legacy. And it is important that each one of you, if you're an early leader in the industry, or if you are somebody who's been in the industry for a while, that we all take some step to look around in the room, every room you walk in, and make sure that the minority in the room has a voice to speak up. Because we are creating data in the real world, which the algorithms will use to create the future. And if we don't make the effort, we will not leave the world a better place. So I would urge all of you, together, allies and members, the female leaders, to come together to continue making your workplace a better place, create the data, which is a better data set, and continue engaging with technology. And thank you for having me. Thank you.